change is coming to EDSA. All right.
Yeah.
These are the latest developments. The meeting last Saturday, as I said, at the MMDA preparatory to the dry run. You can see Secretary Tugade there on the right, and then Chairman Danilo Lim of MMDA, and to his left is GM Jojo Garcia of MMDA. I'm on the right side, at the right end, facing the picture. Okay, so let us now go to the next slide. Okay, next slide, we show the inspection last Saturday of the new platforms being constructed at the center island of EDSA. Here, you will see the video. Can you see this? Can you see this, Ron? This is the video of, EDSA at 8 o'clock, peak hour. So you will see that the bus is running. The bus is running without interruption from traffic on the other lanes. This is the very intention of the new busway. So there, with this, you know, commuters can reach their destination fast, and the busway will be more productive.
That's why it's empty.
With higher commuter throughput will be achieved. Okay, there. There you can see from this picture alone, you can see that the new busway is all clear for buses to run, despite the fact that the other lanes are clogged with private vehicles. This is the very purpose of this new busway. Okay, so that commuters will have priority and will reach their destination without much inconvenience. Now, look at this one. This stretch from EDSA North up to Timok has no busway. And look at this. So the bus is impeded. Okay, so you see the difference now between HEP and HEP not. Okay, this is a view of the buses being used. On the left, you will see that the bus, you know, I took the bus, and I can tell you that despite the fact that it was almost empty, the bus had to run. Now that means that they don't linger anymore at the station. When the time is up, they have to go. On the right picture, you will see a dispatcher, okay, recording the driver and the bus number. So there is a dispatch system. Next, okay, HPG on the left side is back in EDSA as in 2015 September. Okay, so on the right side, you will see the entrance of the bus. It has a turnstile. Look at the bottom of the picture. And then at the middle, you can see the tap and go payment system. So it's cashless for those buses equipped with this facility. And then there is a hand sanitizer. So as you enter, your hands are sanitized. Now, okay, this is what will happen. This will be the new normal on EDSA. The busway are intended for the public buses. So the buses will keep on running, regardless of the fact that, as you see on the right side, this is what will happen on EDSA in the coming months when normal business resumes. EDSA, the car lanes will become clogged, okay, simply because there are too many cars. But then by December, when the Skyway is open, about 30% of cars here on EDSA will be shifted, expected to be shifted to the Skyway. And that will relieve some load from EDSA. But then, you know that people keep on buying cars, and pretty soon, EDSA will become overloaded again. So quantitative reduction measure will be needed because the coding system has not been effective. We have tried many coding schemes, but cars keep on increasing. Now, in Singapore, we know that there is this congestion fee system wherein during peak hours, low occupancy vehicles, when they enter the city core, they have to pay a fee to use the roads. Now, I guess this is one measure that will be more effective than the coding system. Now, here you see the problems on EDSA. You know, there's too many vehicles, and then sidewalks are inadequate. Okay.
As hell, but I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, you know, I guess this is the sentiment of many of us in this situation. But that is the status quo ante, because look at this picture. It shows the problem. At the same time, the solution is there. The solution has been staring at our face for what? 20 years since the MRT was constructed. It shows that a dedicated transit way will be efficient with the conveyance running despite the fact that on both sides the roads are clogged. So that is the solution. And here I wrote last May 10, I said, don't waste a crisis. I said that during this time wherein we are in lockdown is a good time to introduce a new transportation system on EDSA because passenger demand is practically non-existent. Okay. So in short, these are what is guiding me in this one, in this advocacy. Don't waste a crisis. Use the crisis as an opportunity for change. Now, perfect is the enemy of good. Perfect is the enemy of progress. We should remember because, you know, people have the tendency to nitpick, to look for flaws, but then we should look at the bigger picture. We should look at the solution. And then for those things, little things like that, you know, they will be solved and attended to. And it should not allow us to be critical and then to derail or demoralize those implementing the project. And that next one, majority interest should prevail over the few because this is relevant to the way we allocate road space. As you know, road space is a finite resource and that we cannot accommodate everybody. Not every car owners or motorists can be accommodated. Now, we have to set, in short, a priority. How do we use our road space? It's a very important policy decision. And it requires a paradigm shift in the way we allocate road space. Now, again, another one, I believe that the status quo ante is not acceptable. We cannot go back to the past wherein traffic was horrible, transportation was so bad that it's costing us more than 3 billion pesos in economic opportunity losses, untold social and public health costs. We cannot go back to that. So that's why I made it a point to advocate for change. Now, so here, well, I mentioned this. that road space should be subject to regulation. Now, look at this one. To illustrate to you the efficiency of mass transit compared to passenger cars. You know, if you are going to transport 50,000 people per hour in one direction, and if you are going to use cars, you need a road with a space of 175 meters. But if you're going to use two buses, you need only 35-meter width road. While if you use a train, you need only 9 meters. So here you see the in terms of road allocation, you know that hands down it should be train next buses, not cars. Now here you can see a demonstration. Look at that. It here with bicycle, and then with on 3 buses. Now the most efficient is one light train. Again here, 200 people in 177 cars without cars, on bikes. Next is on 3 buses. And then next one is on one light train. So it's very obvious that a train is more efficient. Now, so what are these solutions? I mentioned this, that it's important for us to realize that we need to right size the bus fleet. And that can be achieved by franchise rationalization, route restructuring, and accreditation of qualified operators. And I'm glad to mention that the LTFRB, the agency in charge of this, has been working on this one. And I know for a fact that since June 2017, they had already the structure of these reforms. But we must realize, I know that everybody is impatient, but we must realize that they are dealing with problems over the decades. Over about 30 years, so many franchises were issued. Now, they have to sort this out. And it's not overnight that you can do this. And then you need the cooperation of the operators because they're holding franchises. Now, I'm glad to tell you that the operators are cooperating with the LTFRB, the DOTR in this regard. Then number 2 are the new busways in both direction of EDSA at the innermost lane adjacent to the MRT3 tracks. Now, these two has to complement each other. You know, if you have right sizing of the fleet, but if you do not have these new busways, it won't work. It will not be sustainable because in solving the traffic problem on EDSA, you need 3 things. Number 1 is the 3 E's: engineering, enforcement, and education. Okay? So far, we have not been doing engineering. Okay? Now, this new busways is an engineering. It's a structural change that will improve and sustain the improvements. Number 3, it's obvious that we need wider sidewalks. And then number 4, as a quantitative reduction measure for private vehicles, the congestion fee system in Singapore has been in place for decades and it's working. Okay, now on August 26, 2015, after the 8-hour Carmageddon, wherein so many people were stranded, I prepared a position paper. And among the recommendations there is for a so-called EDSA Dream Plan, which calls for the busway to be shifted to the innermost lane. So look at the center circle. That is where the busway should be. Now, this will conform to universal standard of dedicated busway. There at the innermost lane, not at the curb side or outer lane where the yellow bus lane were for what? Decades and decades, and we did not make the necessary changes. We tolerated that, and it was ineffective. Okay, next. Okay, this is a rendering that I requested the architecture firm of Porch Peña to do. Because our buses are equipped with doors at the right side, so by necessity, the passenger platforms will have to be at the starboard side or the right side of the buses, okay? Now, but this should be a temporary measure. If ever this will be resorted to, it should be temporary because those two platforms will take up 2 car lanes, and it will constrict the lanes of in EDSA from 5, only 4 will be left. So if 2 will be taken up by the busway, so only 2 lanes will be left for cars. That is not enough. Okay, now this is how it should be. Again, this rendering was made, if you look at the bottom, I requested Porch Peña to kindly prepare this rendering to present my concept of the how the new platform should be. In very simple terms, at the center, you look at this, it's actually just like a raised sidewalk so that passengers, commuters, can take the bus on the left and at the right side. But this one will require the buses to be retrofitted with doors at the left side instead of right. Now, this will take time, but then this has to be done, and preferably before the busy Christmas season. Now, we need air bridges for passengers to get from the sidewalk to the center island where the platforms will be. Since this again will take time and we don't have time, what will happen is that the MRT facilities will be dual purpose. But this is not an ideal solution rather, because we know that they are very crowded and congested. So if you're going to add bus passengers as well, there just is not enough space. And then with the need for social distancing, it will be very challenging. Another problem is that what will happen is that bus passengers, when they go to the concourse of the MRT stations, they will enter the platform where the rail tracks are. So there will be a mingling of MRT and bus passengers inside, okay? Then from there, the bus passengers will have to walk along the narrow platform beside the rail tracks to go down to the emergency stairs leading to the center island. You know, that is difficult, because what will happen is that in order to accommodate both the MRT passengers and the bus passengers, they have to be in single file. Now, with the volume of passengers, single file means that the line will extend from the platform to the concourse to the air bridges all the way down to the stairs. Okay, so the ideal situation will be air bridges or an underpass, as what we have on Ayala Avenue and Paseo de Rojas. Okay, next. There. The third option for passengers to cross from the sidewalk to the platforms is at Great Crosswalk. And this one is in Jakarta. This is also an option that can be used pending the construction of the air bridges. But then safety features should be in place. And I'll show you what they are in the succeeding slides. But this is a possible solution for us to consider. There, these are the safety features that will be needed in order to render the at-grade crossing safer. You know? Aside from these lights, timers, cameras, then the barrier gauge, others like, for instance, rumble strips will help, and then speed bumps will also help, because some people rather think of EDSA in terms of a highway. It's no longer a highway. For so many years, we have to realize that EDSA is no longer a highway, for the simple reason that the authorities allowed large mixed-use establishments, high-density establishments to be built along EDSA, and did not require service roads in front as they should. So EDSA is more of an avenue, okay? To the extent that, you know, pedestrian lanes or passenger crosswalks should maybe allowed rather, okay? Next, okay. So what are the operating features that are required to make these busways efficient? The buses must be operated by mimicking the features of a train, okay? Not as now, where either they bunch together or they go individually, okay? There should be no overloading of the busway beyond its capacity. Headway must be designated as appropriate. From what I heard, the plan during peak hours is to have a headway of about 1.5 minutes. So meaning to say, the gap will be just about 1.5 minutes. No? So if you miss the bus, then you just wait for 1.5 minutes, then you'll catch the next bus. Now, during peak, it's about 3 minutes. Now, the buses must flow continuously, must be monitored, and there should be no lingering in the stations. Now, I showed you a while ago a picture of the bus, and I said that even if the bus was practically empty, the driver went on and left the station. I was there. I was seated in front because I wanted to test the system. So those of you who are still worrying about boundary, it's already a problem of the past, because the buses are being paid as contractors. Regardless of the passengers that they carry, they are being paid. Okay, and ideally buses should be quick step in and out. Right now, Bimbo will tell you that these buses of ours here are with high floors. Okay, so you need steps to go up, you need steps to go down, and in mass transit, that is not ideal because it wastes time. You must have quick loading and quick unloading of passengers. Okay. Here, this is what I meant. You know, buses should be operated like a train, with a train of coaches traveling together like a platoon. Yusek Bert Swansing was the one who used this term, platoon, okay? They need to travel together in order to optimize the busway. to move more passengers because a bus has less capacity than a train. So they should operate like a train in line with 3 or 4 buses. Now here again, I showed this earlier to you. This will be the new normal, okay? The DOTR busway will be efficient, but on the car lanes, it's gonna be clogged unless the quantitative reduction measure is more effective. Okay.
Transit, or BRT, is one such solution. BRT is a high-quality bus-based transit system that delivers fast, comfortable, and reliable service. 43 cities across the United States have already implemented BRT. BRT includes several distinctive features that make it more efficient than traditional bus service. It brings similar service levels to light rail with the added benefit of flexible implementation. Dedicated travel lanes help make BRT fast and reliable. BRT vehicles are often able to travel faster than single-occupant vehicles, especially during congested morning and afternoon peak periods. Intersection enhancements, such as transit signal priority, further improve travel time and reliability, giving buses extra green time or a head start in the queue of traffic.
Next, okay. Okay, I think you got the idea. This is the latest technology of so-called bus train. And you notice that they run on special rubber wheels. So this dispenses with steel trucks on the road. Now, you know, I've been to Toronto and Sydney recently, and I've seen how they are tearing up the road in order to retrofit steel trucks. And it's messy, very messy. Now, the solution is this one, the trackless bus train. I wrote about this some months ago. So for those of us still thinking of rail, that's already passé, that's already outmoded. No? The way to go now is this trackless bus train because it can be introduced quickly on the same busway that we have now at the innermost lane. So meaning to say, this busway is future proof. It can be used for these buses now or for trams or for bus train. Now here, look at this. We have been suffering. We have been suffering from indiscriminate loading and unloading wherever the driver pleases or wherever passengers would wait or want to disembark at the roadside. Now, there is a very, very simple solution to this problem. Look at the left side. The platform floor is raised to the level of the bus. So on the right, the same manner, the platform floor is raised. And if you look at the bus, the door at the middle is high because most buses here and in Jakarta have high floors. So what you do, you level the platform door with the platform, with the floor of the bus. So passengers will have no choice but go to the platform in order to board the bus. So this is what I call idiot proofing. Sorry for the language. Now, this is a locally developed long bus train of the DOST, okay? The capacity is very high. Now, it runs on rubber tires, so you don't need steel trucks, okay? But then, I suggested to the developer that modifications should be made. Number one, they're using internal combustion engine. And you know, this size of bus, you need a humongous engine in order to power this. And right now, the engine that they use is underpowered, okay? Now, the better technology to use is electric motors, as in Tesla cars and buses now abroad, so that with each wheel can be powered with a independent electric motor. And another thing, the body is rigid and too long. It needs articulation so that the bus train can turn and also can go up inclines or down without scraping the rear bottom. Okay, but you know, if they can make these modifications, this will be an ideal a conveyance for our busway, and we can develop a local bus industry. So Bimbo, you take note. Perhaps your company can help DOST further develop this one, modify it. Then here, look, this is what I mean, articulated. You know, when you have a long bus, you need articulation at the middle so that the bus can turn, so that it can go up or down without scraping the rear bottom.
Eddie, what
Okay.
happens?
Yeah.
What happens?
What's
the progress of the move to have the buses integrate themselves into just a single bus company?
Okay, that is a work in progress. But right now, I can tell you that the operators, the bus operators, have agreed to form groups among themselves. And, you know, this is a very promising development because without compulsion from the government, they voluntarily combine themselves into groups, and then they choose the route that they want to operate. So much so that the 4,600 buses here on EDSA or Metro Manila will all be included. Now, Yusek Bertson Singh told me that no one will be left behind. And this is very good. It means that the government is practicing inclusiveness. And when you include everybody, you eliminate resistance. And at the same time, you make use of valuable existing transportation resources. No? Now, this one is a rail tram. Okay, this is very efficient. Electric is very clean. You know, Vienna has the most extensive rail tram system in the world. But then, as I said, you need to retrofit the road with steel trucks. So with this new technology, the trackless road bus or road bus train rather, you don't need trucks anymore. You don't need steel wheels. Okay, these are the features that we would like to see in our commuter buses. Number one, it should be operated as a system. Look at the left, top left picture, okay? The platform is at the center and then with buses on both sides, okay? Now, look at the right topmost picture. It has to be user-friendly. Some buses kneel down and then they have ramps so that PWDs can go up and down. Now, it has to be high capacity. At the lower left, you see that that is the usual configuration of commuter buses. Unlike what we have now, they are like provincial buses. Okay? Then tap and go payment system, and it has to be clean energy with electric powered. Okay, now let me go now to the next one. Okay, so if I may repeat again, this is the last slide. I said that don't waste a crisis. Use this situation now wherein passenger demand is still below normal in order to pilot test this new system. And I said that don't aspire for perfection because people have the tendency to look for holes, to look for flaws in a new system. Now, we have to look at the total picture. And that, you know, if we aspire for perfection, what will happen is that there will be no progress. Nothing can move forward. And that is an excuse for non-action or for policy paralysis. Now, I hope that everybody will keep that in mind. So when we analyze, when we study, when we evaluate this new system being introduced, let's be positive about it. Let's be constructive about it. We look for solutions. We suggest the how, not the what. You know, I tell you, our government people, they know what, the what's. It is the how that they need from us. So let's offer solution. Let us not offer criticism. Okay. Now, and then for those who are still skeptical up to now, despite the fact that the busway was already used yesterday, let me tell you that change is coming. Let us embrace it. Let us be constructive and help our government agencies accomplish this because there are many challenges. For instance, the air bridges, it requires funding. Where will funding come from? Okay, so, and then of course, there are those who are, shall we say, not receptive to to change. So that's why those of us, we can see that it's going to help commuters. It will help the transportation system. We should voice out our endorsement, our support for our government officials, because I can tell you that in my meetings, conversations with Secretary Tugade, he is totally unhappy with the status quo ante. He is determined to institute change. He is determined to make this new system work. So let us help him. That is my request. That is my last message. Change is coming. Thank you.
Mabuhay, Eddie. Mabuhay.
Thank you. Thank you.